from McGraw this morning here on the Big 550 KTRS. It's 78 degrees outside. It's warming up. Going to get to be about 90 today. It's 7:21 this morning. I feel like I've been here all morning already. It's pretty early for me. Right now, I would normally be, sitting at home, listening to my children yap while I try to read the paper. I mean, having a good conversation with my children in the morning over our good, healthy breakfast. My poor wife is now she's her work is done for the summer, and so she will be dealing with them all day long. We'll see how that goes. We're going to have Elisa Crouch with us. I don't know if is she on the air. We've got Elisa Crouch from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch education reporter here to talk about the Normandy and Riverview Garden situation. Elisa, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm great. Hey, Tony.
So there appears to me, if I'm reading this situation right, that you've been covering nonstop for the last several months, or actually, really, we're going on about 2 years now since the Supreme Court decision. There appears to be a little bit of clarity in terms of what Normandy kids and parents and Riverview kids and parents can expect over the next year, at least if the rest of the school boards in the region go along with what Education Commissioner Chris Nicastro and the Board of Education is proposing. Could you just talk about the actions over the last couple of days?
Right. Okay. So a lot's happened the last few days. There's this new school district that's going to be forming in Normandy. It's going to, for most people, it's going to look the same. It's going to have almost the same name. It's going to be called the Normandy Schools Collaborative. But the State Board of Education has changed some things about it that will make it so it won't have to comply with the school's transfer statute. This means that no new transfers will be coming out of Normandy. This also means that the state can do some things with that school district, like extend the school year and remove teacher tenure as a way to stop them from getting rid of teachers they want to get rid of. So there are some things that have happened in the last week that will shape what this school year looks like for Normandy kids, but also for the transfer students as well.
In every one of these steps that is being undertaken by the Board of Education or previously by the legislature in the bill that the governor has said he's going to veto, there's sort of a group of people that are kind of winning and a group of people that are kind of losing in terms of there are some kids that are still going to be able to transfer and some kids are not. There are going to be some new teachers coming in and others who may lose their jobs. Is the reaction from these various constituencies to the Board of Education's recent decisions so negative that you expect there may be some more lawsuits and some more difficulty? Or does there appear to be almost a coalescence that says, okay, we don't like all these decisions, but we're going to see how it works for a while?
Well, I think, first of all, I really think that we still have yet to see how this is all going to play out. I think the negativity and the pushback may come if school boards decide not to allow Normandy transfer students to remain in their schools. And the State Board of Education and the Department of Education, they're asking school districts to let them know soon. So basically, under the new rules that have come down, it'll be up to the receiving school districts to say, do we want to keep the kids or not? Because they're going to be getting less tuition for every child that will be attending their schools this year than they did last year. And they no longer are required by law to keep them. So, the state board wants them to keep them, but we have yet to see if they're going to. There was a rule that the state board approved that will send 131 Normandy students back. And these are students who didn't go to school in Normandy last year. Most of them are private school students. And now they're not going to be allowed to continue in their new schools. I think the parents I've spoken with, they're still pretty much they're very stunned by this. Like they thought that their kids could continue in the new schools. So I think in terms of negativity and outrage, I think parents are just trying to figure stuff out first, and then it depends on what the numbers are going to look like in the next week or so in terms of how many kids can continue in the program.
Elisa, have you talked to any superintendents or school board members in some of the suburban districts? Does there seem to be a willingness to accept the new tuition amount, which is about $7,200, the same amount that school districts accept for St. Louis, City of St. Louis kids in the voluntary transfer program?
I don't know at this point that I can say that I think there's a willingness yet, to be honest with you. It seems like, we've spoken with some school members in some school districts, and a lot of them are trying to digest the new rules from the state board. And they haven't been speaking with us that openly about it yet. I think they want to speak in closed session with their other board members before coming to a conclusion, which, leads you to think that nothing's for certain right now. It could go either way.
What's fascinating about this, so last year when you were writing about this, everybody was trying to figure out, what does the transfer law say? What are the legal requirements? How is everybody going to react? And how much time do we have to get these kids into the different schools that they want to go into? This year is similarly crazy, except for now everything is sort of extra legal. Everything is
right
outside of the law. And I've never seen anything like this. And it's interesting because on the editorial page, we've actually called for the Board of Education and Chris Nicastro to do some of the things that they're doing outside of the law, which is a strange place for us to be. But right now you have a situation in which the Board of Education is asking everybody for voluntary compliance with rules that everybody understands are outside existing law.
Right. Yeah. Well, and last year we had similar rules and guidance outside existing law, but they were done everyone willingly complied with them. And so it just remains to be seen if, I don't know, this whole thing is really difficult it's different this year because last year I felt like we were sort of following the storyline of suddenly children and their parents in these unaccredited school districts had the choice of better schools all over the region, and then what was going to happen, And this year, they've had the choice. They've been doing it, but it seems like some doors are closing, some doors are opening. We're not really sure how tightly doors are going to be shutting. I mean, it's just it's going a whole bunch of different directions.
And one of the biggest unknowns is what is the school district in Normandy, the remade school district that's going to be run by the State Board of Education, in effect, going to look like? Any insight into how a school day is going to be different in Normandy in the next school year than it was, say, in the last couple?
At this point, and it's interesting that you mentioned the school day because that did come up at the last Board of Education meeting. They haven't. They could potentially be overhauling what the school day does look like, but they haven't done that yet. It is something they will be addressing. They will be attending school longer in the coming school year in terms of the number of calendar days. By the school year 2015-16, Normandy kids will be in school almost year round.
That's going to be an interesting change.
Right. So, and then in terms of the staffing, they've rehired at this point about 30% of the teachers who were there before. And bear in mind, it's really tough to hire teachers this time of year. Most school districts do it in the spring, so the pool of candidates that any district has is fairly limited. The hiring process continues. I think, a significant number of Normandy teachers and administrators will be coming back. They're going, at least for the first year, they're going to be having a good 4 weeks of pretty intense professional development to help, increase the rigor in the classroom. So they're still making a lot of decisions right now on what the school year is going to look like and what the school day is going to look like and just how things are going to change.
Elisa Crouch, St. Louis Post-Dispatch education reporter. Thanks for joining us, Elisa. She and her colleague, Jessica Bach, have been all over the Normandy and Riverview Gardens school situation. One of the interesting things that's still out there is whether or not the legislature tries to override the governor's planned veto of the legislation that would have completely changed the transfer law. That could throw things completely out of whack after the school year has already started in September. I'm sure Elisa will continue to follow this at stltoday.com, and we'll pay attention here on the Big 550 KTRS. It's 78 degrees in St. Louis, 7:30. Tony Messenger filling in for